And so it came to pass that in times gone by the mighty hero Avenger found himself ensnared in the webs of the great spider Nulak. It would not end like this, however, for the pieces were arranged on the board for one final showdown between the representatives of the many gods of Orb themselves. This then shall be the final confrontation, and all hangs in the balance for good or ill. A battle that goes beyond the physical and into the spiritual realm, a harrowing experience from which few shall escape unscathed, and yet one endures, one upon whom our hopes hang. He is Avenger. He is Ninja. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quality. My way is the way of the tiger.
Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. And of course, we're starting off with that awkward decision that left sleepy late night me a bit confused and uncertain at the end of the last episode. And there are three options here, one of which I think is pretty much a non-option. So we'll go through this again. Currently, we are fleeing through the underground realm of the Dark Elves from the demonic Spider Queen and attempting to rescue our friend Glaivas the Ranger. It hasn't been easy so far, and it won't be easy going any further. So, we have taken a side passage from a large cavern, and this number is important, 120, and found ourselves at the entrance to some kind of shrine or temple or chapel. You make a small hole in the grey gauze curtain and peek through to see the profile of two familiar faces, Tchurchev and Form. They are dressed in black priestly robes over their clothing, stripped from two dead bodies in the corner, and they are looting golden ornaments from the shelves. The wall behind them has a carving of a beautiful woman's face, and out of her screaming mouth come a multitude of spiders. Other notable features of the shrine are a small river that runs through its centre in a special channel, and a rack of spare black robes standing near the entry. Will you continue on, following the corridor around to the left, which will lead us back to the main chamber, to the section we would have gone to if we'd never taken this side path in the first place. Reach into the shrine to grab a spare robe as a disguise and leave the duo to their looting, or start a fire nearby to draw the attention of those in the temple to the two interlopers. Now, I invited viewers to give their opinions on what I should do here in the comments section, and there were some very, very strong opinions that I should absolutely create a fire here, and that it is an opportunity to burn these two to the ground and be done with them. Now, my take on it is that my mission is to rescue Glaivas the Ranger. These ancient foes have returned to make this mission harder, and yes, defeating and destroying them could absolutely make my mission easier, but it's also distracting me from my actual goal. Furthermore, I'm going to reveal a little something here. This is section 215. If we start a fire at 286, you use your flint to set fire to a tapestry in the hallway, then rush to hide in the shadows as you hear footsteps coming. Then there's a fate roll. We are not allowed to grab a disguise if we do this. So it's not an option to do both. To create a fire, then grab a disguise, or grab a disguise, then start a fire. It's literally disguise or fire. Now, disguise is so far in this adventure in Book 6. And it's possible Book 7 may have been the tail end of Book 6, and that originally it was going to be either a longer book, or I wonder if Book 6 actually got padded out and expanded to make it a final book, because the Book 7 portion of the latter half of it hadn't been written yet, or something. That's an interesting thought, right? But no, I don't think that's the case, because we... No, that doesn't feel right. Anyway, one of the viewers said, or claimed, that if I do not light the fire, I need to sing that shit depressing song from that one episode of 2.5 Men, where the boring skinny gay bloke whose presence in the series still continues to confuse probably all of us at this point, who wasn't gay because they made him have sex with women to prove he wasn't gay, but he blatantly was gay the whole time, right? Anyway, yeah, there was that one episode where he was left at home alone in the evening, and he sat down by the piano and sang some rubbish song about not starting a fire, and it was shit. And I've never heard any other version of it, so I don't even really know the words. It's like that Ring My Bell song, you know. You see it in Old Issues of White Dwarf next to pictures of Skaven, and you're like, ring my bell, ring my bell, and you're like, oh, that is awesome. And when you hear it, it's like, ring my bell. Oh, fuck off, sing properly, you dickhead, you know. So, if you want me to go, we do like for ages, without knowing any of the words, I can, but I mean, I don't know the words. Now, if you wanted something like, full flaming fire by thy light burning, lead us to beauty, vision, and joy. I almost couldn't do the beauty and vision because I'm a man and I have bollocks, so my voice doesn't go that high. Because I'm a fucking baritone, so I can't do the bloody the tenor singing because it goes too high, and bass is too low. So I have to switch between the fucking two depending on what's within my range and more comfortable. So there, yeah. So anyway, right, disguises have proved to be very useful in Book 6, in the avoiding of danger and dice rolls and difficulty of one kind or another. However, we also proved that in Book 6, if you obtained a disguise, you didn't need it. And if you needed the disguise, Foxglove would die. This was also especially true of the bullthrush-headed pin. Now, let's see. We are on full endurance, down to 3 points of inner force. We've lost a shuriken, so we're reasonably healthy. We could probably take a bit of risk. But again, do I want to draw attention to this situation? Do I wish to create a fight? Now, here's the thing about Cassandra, Chuchev, and Form. They are villains that we love to hate. It's great to see them come back. They make the world feel more alive, and they feel like real people. They don't just feel like nameless, faceless opponents. It's like, no, oh, it's great, we get to fight these guys again. You know, it's brilliant, right? So I don't particularly feel bad about potentially running into them later. Additionally, when we had to enter into the cavern that led us here, we had to climb through a hole in the side of a rock, possibly cutting free some webbing that had grown across that hole recently. And there was a blood smear on the edge of the hole we had climbed through, indicating that someone bleeding had climbed through here recently. I believe one of these two is injured. Furthermore, Form is a magician, specialized heavily in illusions. He doesn't use very many non-illusory spells, and he's already used some in our conflict in Book 6, and he hasn't had an opportunity to rest and recover his spell power and prepare some more spells for use against us. So we don't know for certain, because we don't know what sort of power level this is. The series overall feels quite high, but it always has this feeling of being like... because we know it's based on first edition, and it feels like we're like a level 3 or 4 character most of the time, to be honest. Given our relative health and power levels compared to a number of the creatures we faced. But then again, we got to things like the Duke of Hell and really powerful stuff, where again the objective wasn't to slay, but to get a few hits in and survive long enough for something to happen. And we could be considered a bit more powerful now, but we haven't necessarily progressed that much. Then again, if according to Book 0 we're now a Grand Master, that means we're like level 8 or something, right? Because it was after levels 7 or 8 that the monks in first edition started becoming unique, and you were only allowed to have one monk of each level. And the way to attain the next level was to find the monk who was that level and beat him in single combat, at which point he went down to the level you had been, and you rose up to claim his level. If he survived at all, and was probably dead after that. Which doesn't really feel like a very monastic thing. It does feel like something out of a martial arts film from the 70s, or 60s, which is probably what inspired it, to be honest. I mean, the original AD&D monks are not really like friars. They are like Shaolin monks, you know, essentially. So, what I'm saying is, right, if we do not have a disguise, wherever we're going next, there will be probably some kind of danger or difficulty where the disguise could have made things a bit easier for us. And honestly, in terms of pushing my luck, maybe I don't want to waste good dice rolls on those events which could have been avoided, and keep that good luck for later moments when it's needed, rather than have my luck run out too soon. At this point, to my mind, the objective is save the Ranger Glaivas and not only save him, but rescue him from this damned horrible place. If we can find Doré Lejeune, the paladin, as well, that'd be great. And we have actually found the sword of a paladin. It's not his, but it appears to have been blessed and is down here. Also, whatever was in Tchurchev's belt pouch in Book 6, we have it, and he does not, so he cannot use it. And looking at this situation, what truly strikes me is that the enemy of my enemy is well and truly fucked in this situation. Yeah, you thought I was going to say is my friend, didn't you? No. So, if I start a fire, that'll draw the attention of the temple guardians in the area, hopefully to these two, maybe to me, but I can kind of take care of myself a bit. I don't think we should assume that the fire will kill them, but a great many guards may very well do that. Then again, is my objective here to defeat all the adherents of different faiths, as they represent the Chaos God Anarchil? Or is my goal to, and then escape? Or is my goal to escape and win by rising above such temptation? I feel I should follow the wisdom of Quan on this one, and currently the wisdom of Quan strongly suggests that taking the disguise will help me avoid some difficulty and danger, possibly some dice rolls. I don't know how difficult. It won't necessarily be very difficult, but it's a matter of, if I was more heavily wounded at this point, I might want to definitely take the disguise. And we have learned from Book 6 that disguises can be bad for our health, or rather bad for the health of those accompanying us. However, right, Tchurchev is a highly skilled swordsman, and we're not necessarily up to defeating him in a straight fight, especially as his Displacer Beast cloak makes it very hard to tell his exact location in combat. He's always like a few inches, to the side of where he appears to be, and constantly in motion. And he's not always to the same side. The image of him is offset randomly, so we're not entirely sure where he is, and our blows might miss ever so slightly more often than usual, which means he just has a high defense. Form is in a weakened state. He may have had to be restored from the dead, so he's in an even more weakened state, his body being somewhat feeble from returning. And I know those of you 3rd edition and 5th edition players will be thinking, oh, he's lost a level. No. This was 1st edition. And in 1st or 2nd edition, if you were brought back from the dead, you permanently lost a point of constitution. And you didn't get points every few levels either. You had just your starting values. And you had to make a roll to come back from the dead based on your constitution value, which could fail anyway. So, my gut feeling is that if I'm going to defeat these two, this may be one of the best opportunities I'm going to get. However, it's not a very satisfying opportunity to just light a fire and walk away and believe, oh yeah, they've been dealt with. Ooh, what if there's a fake note where it says, yeah, you've dealt with them, and then later on we're asked, did you start a fire to get rid of them? We go, yeah, we started a fire, and they're like, surprise, we survived that, you thick dickhead. Whereas if we didn't start a fire, they actually don't survive and come back up. Well, they don't. That's the thing. If they survive an attempt on their lives, they'll be more likely to come back for me for revenge, even if they don't know it's me. Whereas if I don't make the attempt, they may be grateful to get away at all. And the other thing is, there are still a great many enemy guards around this place. They are disguised, which implies to me that my disguise would be just as effective as theirs, even though I am better at being sneaky and impersonating people and stuff. So maybe if I leave them to it, their disguise means they will get out of here, but they'll be in a bad shape, and I think they're going to have enough trouble here already without me drawing attention to them. And if this is the last I see of them, then so be it. So I will reach into the shrine to grab a spare robe as a disguise and leave the duo to their looting. And, dear viewers, you can pretend I sang the song that I don't know the words for. I'm sorry, I can't be expected to sing a song that I don't know. I can't be expected to know a song that I've never really heard any sort of official version of. I can be expected to know a song that I do know, but sadly this is not one of them. Disguise it is. Because at the moment, to my mind, trying to rescue Glaivas is more important than exacting revenge on foes who are somewhat vulnerable, but also not particularly they're focused on looting at the moment, right? Which means they probably wouldn't notice if I did try and set fire to the place straight away. But I don't feel the need to yet. You reach past the curtain to grab a robe, too quick and silent to be discovered. You throw on the garment to disguise yourself as a priest as you continue round the bend to the left, through another gauze curtain where the wheezing you heard when you first entered becomes louder again. You emerge into a hallway with bronze double doors guarded by two figures in grey plate mail armour, features hidden beneath metal masks and helmets, sickles on their belts. The wheezing is coming from a giant creature in apparent slumber atop a horrific ornate gold and onyx statue that you take to be the goddess Nulak. Water trickles from the ceiling over the creature, giving its grey skin a glistening sheen. The monster's squid-like head is reminiscent of a kraken, but with a spider-like body. You cannot be sure, but you think it sometimes whispers things you cannot quite catch. 4 emaciated dark elf slaves slump in brass chains at the base of the statue, scratching at their own bleeding eyes and moaning softly. You feel the creature's presence weighing on your mind. You grip the scepter tighter, feeling its power keep the evil at bay, stopping you from slipping into insanity. You stride up towards the 2 guards as if you belonged, and they call out to you to give the signal. You Cobra strike one before he can even move and incapacitate the other with a tiger's paw chop. You slip on through the bronze double doors to section 96, where we will hopefully not feel too guilty about our disguise. I suspect, were we not disguised, we would need to find another way to cross the chamber to reach the guards without alerting the sleeping beast. And there's another picture of Foxglove with her facial surgery to remove her entire bone structure. Her cheekbones have vanished. Her jawline is seriously wrong. However, even this probably couldn't have the same skull as the other vision of her we've seen in another illustration. So dodgy. So, while the scepter grants us power to influence those who are not our foes, it also protects us from mental control. However, it would not have protected us from Foxglove in the previous book, although Shinren did. So that's a bit of an inconsistency. So it has some kind of special power here that it did not have there, or it's a different situation. You enter the sanctum of the Forbidden Sanctuary, a hall lit by a dull circle of flame set into an onyx wall reminiscent of a setting sun. The black stone here is veined with white, giving the appearance of netting or webbing. The floor is awash with black, knee-deep water, presumably blessed holy water of Nulak, or unholy. You creep forward. From alcoves at the side step a handful of grey-armoured guards, but they are held in check by the command of a woman who appears on a raised platform by a sacrificial altar. She is dressed in black and has a black snake around her neck which occasionally coils and twitches. And okay, completely irrelevant picture of Eris the Magician from the previous page. She carries a candle in her hand and appears in no discomfort as the wax drips on her open palm. "Welcome, Avenger," she says, stepping down into the water in front of you. "Quan himself must walk with you to have guided you here. It is said that you slew my former master, Shadazar, during the invasion of your city, a feat I have only just come to accept. In her absence, I am the keeper of the Forbidden Sanctuary. Total SJW, Shadazar will be a mistress, not a master." We don't need all of this giving women male pronouns bollocks. It's bad enough in Doctor Who where they introduced a female character and for 2 entire fucking episodes everyone called her Ambrose. And, as a viewer, you were supposed to think, oh yeah, she's just called Amber Rose. But everyone just called her Ambrose, which is a man's name. And then, from there, of course, we got to Oswin, which is a male Anglo-Saxon name, which was used for a female character. And then it got even more extreme with a woman called Bill, whose only personality trait was that she had to tell everyone she was gay as soon as she met them, and had nothing else interesting going on about her at all whatsoever, which is a shame, really, because she could have been a more well-rounded and fleshed-out character, and it would have been more interesting. Anyway, SJW bollocks aside, let's get on with the actual adventure and having fun. If you're wearing a priest robe, you discard it, as it avails you little here, which is why I didn't even write it down on the character sheet. You ask her why she does not oppose you. You have overcome all the challenges of the rift to be here. There is nothing more I can do to stop you. Your presence represents a greater cosmological battle underway between the gods, who are undergoing a reordering of their supremacy. You and I are but instruments in their struggle. In our secret archive, the Keeper continues, there is a prophecy of a mortal with one eye deciding the fate of the gods. That is why the Black Widow fears you. Recalling your recovery of the scrolls of Ketsuin, you comment that you were influencing the fate of the gods long before you lost your left eye. No matter. I will take you to see Glaivas now. She turns away from you and starts to walk. Now, I did mention having glanced through a portion of this book previously, and it was pretty much up to around this moment. I have seen a little further ahead, but we're reaching the time where it will soon be blind. There will be a point in the future where we will reach a gate and need to find a way past the guards at the gate. That will be as far as I've seen. Now, I mentioned when playing Book 6 and Book 4 that, and Book 5 even, I think, that I felt that the character of Foxglove was somewhat underdeveloped or underused, and I felt that she got a bit of a raw deal. And I was referring to her being possessed and dominated by the spiders and incapable of being rescued at the beginning of this book. However, this sentence here is what made me rethink that. Okay. Your presence represents a greater cosmological battle underway between the gods, who are undergoing a reordering of their supremacy. You and I are but instruments in their struggle. If we take that to be true, and we don't need it to be true, this is literally a spider priestess who appears human and not to be one of the Dark Elves, with a weird fucking manga face that is impossible. Like her head's been clamped in a vice and just squashed to doom by some evil wanker who hates human cosmology. It's very inhuman. Then again, with the whole spidery aspect of the Dark Elves, does this look like a sort of insect face? Maybe, well, the angles of the eyes, maybe. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is, if we look at it this way, right, then the Mage Eris represents the, what's his name, Beatan, the Free, right? Taflur and the other one. I mean, the poor warrior who just got killed right at the beginning, he didn't stand much of a chance, did he? The two clerics, we got one who worships Avatar and one who worships another god, I can't remember. We've got the three Chaos worshippers of Anarkil. In which case, Foxglove becomes the only surviving representative of Nemesis with any relevance in the storyline whatsoever. And if she is acting as an agent of Nemesis at all times, then in Book 6, all of those times where she could betray us or lead us into great trouble make a lot more sense. While she is there to help us a little bit, she's also there to lead us into great danger and be our greatest enemy. Now, it's hard to say because she was... But if she appears later on in the adventure, as this definitely appears to be not in a cave underground, there's mountains behind her, I am aware that these illustrations are recycled from the illustrated versions of the previous books. This one is from the new Book 6, the camping... Hang on. It's literally... Old Book 6. And if I go preview pages so I can look at pictures. But it's literally this section, right? It's literally section 245 in the new Book 6. Unless they tweaked a few numbers around, because I know they did arrange a few things, but it's literally their version of this picture. This woman has corners to her jawline and cheekbones. This woman, I mean, there's maybe corners there slightly, but no cheekbones. You know, it's like, fucking hell, Munter. Anyway, right. So. Oof. Huh. And then, of course, if I search a little, wait. 96, right? There's this illustration of her as well. This appears more human. The cheekbones are a little more existent. The jawline less sloping and extreme. This is a sort of nice looking picture overall. However, it's not what I'm looking for. We all know what I'm looking for, don't we? We all know. Okay, below Eris then. The horse-faced mongfish of doom. Which looks nothing like this woman. Except for maybe the fact that the hair is a little dark. Actually, this sort of Greco-Roman patterning on the dress gives me... I was planning on doing that series, wasn't I, at some point? And very little in common with this woman, right? The cheekbones here, not quite so prominent, but the corners of the jaw, the size of the mouth, the height of the chin, right? The distance, the length of the philtrum, right? And then we get this fucking Munter, right? It's like, I'm sorry, I don't see this being the same person at all. And what the hell is going on with demonic possessed eyebrows. Not the same eyebrows. Even if you take like facial expression into account, that's like, oh my god, no. Anyway, that is Yemen. Ugh. Okay, so back to the picture of Eris. And here we are again. Found our section. Great. So, if Foxglove has been the greatest enemy the entire time, and only occasionally acts... I'm not even going to say acts in our interest, because when she appears to have our interest at her heart, it's pretty much always self-serving, right? She prevented an assassination attempt in Book 4, but presumably only so that she could gain our trust and hold power over us. And that was probably... I mean, there might have been one time in Book 6 where she could have helped us as well. I think if we met the Spider Priestess on the way... and we only would have met the Spider Priestess if we had passed through the chapel. And the safest thing to do was to not get disguises and not go through the chapel. The temple, the shrine, or whatever it was. And then instead we would have just got there and not met the Spider Priestess, because there would have been no hue and cry. When we camped, she was gazing at us with murderous intent. She's attempted to manipulate us. And she has given us a few warnings. In Book 6, there's a few times where she warns us of great dangers that we could find out about ourselves, or... Although we could have blundered into trouble that she warned us about, right? So, but that was in the interest of her survival as much as our own, right? In this book, she gave us the onyx spider trinket at the beginning, the token, which we were able to use to heat up the spider webs and get free. But then she took it away from us, so we do not have it anymore. Then she was possessed by the spiders. Yeah, so she was possessed by the spiders when she took it away from us as well, pretty much. And she has begged us to free her before the spiders possessed her. If she had died in the previous book, when we met her in that chamber, we could have said, I thought you were dead. And she'd say, yeah, but the Spider Queen put a spell on me before I died, and when I died it brought me back to life here so that I could serve her. It's like, okay. That feels like a bit of a stretch. That feels like the kind of high-level magic stuff that doesn't happen very often in the series, at least in the first 5 or 6 books. Things are usually more intentional and less hand-wave continuity. So, if Doré Lejeune represents Avatar in this, as does one of the priests. Is it Taflur or the other one? And the other priest represents, the green... Is it the scales? On a green field? And Eris, Beata, and the Free. Obviously, all the Dark Elves and the Great Black Widow herself represent the Spider Goddess Nulak, if the Black Widow is not literally a physical representative of Nulak, or even her physical form. She says she's taking us to Glaivas. We could grab her and hold her hostage to ensure she takes us to Glaivas. That would involve getting close to her, and there's a fucking snake around her neck. She is dressed in black and has a black snake around her neck which occasionally coils and twitches. If we were to try and grapple her, that snake could bite us. We could launch a leaping tiger kick into the back of her head. There are guards here, and that is a way to ensure we will not find out where Glaivas is. Let's follow her where she leads, but remain wary of her treachery, for now. The keeper walks out of the water onto the raised platform where she places the candle on the altar. She gestures back over her shoulder and towards a window. From here you can behold the fabled city of bone, which no man has ever seen and lived to make it to the sunlit world. By which we can take it to mean that she also has no intention of us making it alive to the sunlit world. Or that we'd better not go and look at it, but either way, we are in so deep, we better be careful. You give her a nudge in the back of your scepter to keep her moving as she continues on through a black velvet curtain. You push past the black velvet curtain into a spacious hall of obsidian lit by the reverse side of a dull fire disk on the wall. Along the side are numerous alcoves blocked by octopus-like creatures, their heads above the doorframe, their spiked tentacles forming something akin to thick prison bars. Only once before has an intruder infiltrated into a temple this far down, she says, a group of suicidal crusaders who took a sacred talisman from the followers of death near the city of Bone. The survivors still pay for their temerity to this day. Which means the little bunch of heroes from the beginning of the fighting fantasy book, Talisman of Doom, are still alive, and at least one of them, if not more, are down here. That is a great nod to the only fighting fantasy book to be set in Orb. That also features a priestess of Nulak as a primary villain, actually. She steals the talisman and it needs to be reclaimed from her and her temple. It would appear the goddess Nulak is becoming a far... Now, I would be interested to know when that was written in relation to the main series. And why there are no more fighting fantasy books set on Orb. If I ever see Jamie again, I should ask him about that. Maybe he'll have some memories to share. Who knows? The keeper walks over to one of the creatures and whispers in some guttural language that you would not believe pronounceable by a human tongue. Then again, we do not believe she is human. We've seen the illustration. It's like fucking H.P. Lovecraft and his head. His impossibly thin human head. It's like there's no fucking way there's a human skull and brain inside that thing, but apparently there was. The creature gathers its tentacles upward, revealing a rectangular block of dark ice. From a sash at her waist, the keeper produces a squid-shaped amulet of Nulak. She touches it to the ice, which immediately transforms into water, gushing over the floor, revealing the gaunt and emaciated form of Glaivas. He falls straight to the ground within his cell, too weak to stand his green clothing, little more than rags. His eyes struggle to focus, and it seems he recognizes you. "Your prize, Avenger," the keeper says, stepping back with a smile, "although in reality he is your doom. I am curious enough to let you take him, for the forces of the Black Widow surround this place. How can you carry him beyond them and up 7 tiers of the rift? You are but a human. I cannot see how you can fulfill the prophecy, and my faith in our prophecy is tested. We could help Glaivas out of the cell before she changes her mind. Demand that the keeper help him. Smash the scepter into her smiling face. Or throw the onyx spider token at the keeper. But we do not have it because Foxglove took it away from us. So one of these 4 options is a non-option. Smashing her in the face doesn't feel like the best solution to this problem. walking in and helping Glaivas out of the cell feels too obvious. It feels like a trap. This thing has got a load of tentacles over the door, and she can control it. Let's demand that she helps him out of the cell. You tell the keeper to help Glaivas out of the cell, and she does so unquestioningly, supporting him enough to stand and walk out before you. She looks expectantly at you. If you've played Book 6 Inferno, I have, and have a small Daughter of Nulak spider inside your head, I do not, because I did not take the disguise, but I did not enter the chapel, so I didn't meet the spider priestess, and was not directed down a corridor that led to me being infected by one. And when the group of heroes found the samovar, I didn't look at it. I was like, no, just put it aside. So a second spider didn't jump me there. So I had two opportunities. There may be a third opportunity in Book 6, but I seem to have avoided that as well. No Daughter of Nulak in my head. So we will turn to section 245 instead of 235. And 235 is the keeper produces a spider. Oh, a spider. Daughter of Nulak comes out of Glaivas' head and tries to get into ours. But as it doesn't sense one in our head already, it just stays where it is. It has no urge to come out and join another one.
Is it really you, Avenger?
Glaivas says in a dry voice, unused to speaking for a long time.
You have proven yourself to be my redemption.
You interrupt, saying it is not the time. I also felt that it was not the right time to defeat Form and Chuchev, and that there would be a better, more satisfying opportunity in the future if we met again. You interrupt, saying it is not the time. You ask him about Dore Lejeune, but Glaivas simply shakes his head.
I know not. He was still fighting when I was caught in the net.
The keeper speaks a word, and an image appears over the palm of her hand of the Black Widow perched on the cavern roof directly above the forbidden sanctuary. She is wrapping the outer windows and doors of the stalagmite in webbing, sealing you in. This could be an illusion. This doesn't need to be true scrying, what we are seeing. Her minions have surrounded this place whilst you tarried here, the keeper says, the light of the fire disk causing her eyes to gleam. Where will you go now, ninja? You are trapped. We have Chuchev's belt pouch and the paladin's sword. We do not have one of these items. So we have do you have both of these items? Do you have one? Do you have the other? Do you have neither? We have both. So let's find out what we grasped from Chuchev, snatching from him. Glaivas spots the sword on you, and at your nod takes it. Note on your character sheet that Glaivas now has the paladin's sword. So I'm going to... I'll do it this way. The sword glitters with power, brightening this gloomy chamber, and Glaivas seems to regain some of his former vigour. He is nearly steady upon his feet. I can tell you, dear viewers, that if we did not have the paladin's sword, Glaivas would demand that we give him the royal scepter to use as a weapon on the way out of here. And it would be in his hands and not ours. And from what I've seen, Glaivas does not exhibit the usual wisdom of a ranger, but instead starts trying to use the scepter to command us to obey him, as we are not his enemy. and command others to do so on the way out. And it looks like there's a moment in the future where Foxglove asks us to give her the scepter, and if Glaivas has it, he does, because he doesn't see any reason not to. Whereas if we still have it, she can't get it off us. Or maybe she can, but we have a choice, essentially. And having moments in the future where we're not allowed to take certain options because Glaivas tells us not to, he's been tortured, he's weak, he might not be making the best decisions at the moment. The sword glitters with power, brightening this gloomy chamber, and Glaivas seems to regain some of his former vigour. He is nearly steady on his feet. However, should we manage to find Doré Lejeune, perhaps we can persuade Glaivas to hand over the sword to him, as he will be even more effective with it in his hands. At the nearness of Glaivas, you sense something glowing from Tchurchev's pouch on your belt. You open it to reveal a crystal in the shape of a heart.
"By the All-Mother," Glaivas says, "it is the fabled heart of Illustra. How did you come by it?"
You remember that Tchurchev slew Aurora, the High Priestess of Illustra, in Harif Sivakro. He must have pilfered this from her. You feel its radiance bathe the room, strengthening you. Regain up to 4 lost endurance points. We have not lost any, fortunately. Well, we have, but we've regained them all so far. Cross the pouch from your character sheet and note the heart of Illustra. Now, I do not know for certain if that is the item the original authors intended this to be when writing book 6. However, they are credited with writing credits on this book, so it's entirely possible it is, and I imagine documents were shared. I don't think that they are credited as authors just out of respect, but that some portions of the book were written by them, either recently or many years ago. I don't think they sat down and collaborated and wrote with David Walters, is it? Or Waters? But rather that if they had some old manuscript for what this book was supposed to be like, they might have handed that to him and then he could have padded it out, filled it out, and expanded it to a full adventure. The Keeper shrinks back with a shriek, turning away from the light, and she transforms into a hand-sized yellow and black spider with gnarled legs. At her screech, one of the cell-guarding creatures opens its tentacles, revealing a surprise. A vortex of dust stirs in the cell, and a man in a grey silk, features obscured by a balaclava, leaps out and adopts a martial stance opposite you. He speaks, his thick accent muffled by the cloth over his mouth. "I am Amin the Fidai. Upon the capture of your friend, the minions of Nulak summoned me from Upanishad to await you here. In my meditation, I have prepared for the honor of ending your life. Your skill must be breathtaking for you to stand before me now. I specialize in the killing of your Quan brethren, and killing you will be my greatest glory. It seems you have stepped into one final trap. Glaivas moves in on the Keeper whilst you face off against Amin. From what little you have read about the Fidai, they are a fanatical sect of assassins whose martial arts specialize in exploiting the weaknesses of other fighters and martial artists. Amin's empty hands twitch in anticipation of fighting you. What move will you use to attack him? An Iron Fist punch, a Cobra Strike punch, a Tiger's Paw chop, a Forked Lightning kick, a Winged Horse kick, a Leaping Tiger kick, a Whirlpool throw, a Dragon's Tail throw, a Teeth of the Tiger throw, or the Quan's Flail kick, which we learned in Book 1. Or, if you have the acrobatic skill, which we do not, you could try to throw him off guard by somersaulting over to his left, as opposed to any other direction. He is a highly skilled martial artist. Now, the Quan's Flail kick is very rare. Only a few people left alive know how to use it. However, This man is specialized in the defeat of members of my order. So, of the surviving people who have this special ability, he may have defeated some of those who had it before and know about it. I don't know. I think I should put off this decision to the next episode. Annoyingly, I have searched through the book. There is no illustration for the Fidai. So I might just use the picture of the priestess for thumbnail. But I'm reckoning I end the episode here without a single dice roll. Doing well there, aren't I? And if this one ends up being a bit short, I might record something else tonight as well. Possibly even do a double upload. Who knows? For now, though, I am going to leave this one here, and you can all let me know what you think of my decision to spare the Chaos Worshippers and save them up for later, and hope they don't inconvenience me at a later time. You can castigate or chastise me for my decision. Comment on this is he's supposed to be a highly experienced martial artist. This is probably going to be a very tough fight, and if I die and have to replay the whole episode again, hey, I'd rather have it at the beginning of an episode than at the end of an episode, because of having to redo all this stuff, But hey, I've done okay, I think. I'm making it through the adventure. I'm nearly at the limits of my knowledge of this book. So we'll see how it goes next time. For now, though, I'll bid you all a fond farewell. I hope to see you all again in the next episode, and I hope I haven't upset too many of you. Hey, if I die, I can go back and set fire to the chapel and see how things turn out for those two, right? For now, though, this is the path I'm taking. I'm pretty much going by instinct and with a bit of memory from a few months ago, because I was just so sleep deprived and so busy in the head that I couldn't sleep, and I just looked through the book a bit. Anyway, see you all next time, and remember, we're all ninjas.